The Florida Panthers win in Brad Marchand's debut and spoil the return of Kevin Stenlund.
You're Locked On Panthers, your daily podcast on the Florida Panthers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into this Friday, March 28th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. I'm Armando Velez from the Hockey News. You can follow me on X and Blue Sky at Monoman12. Follow the show account on X and Instagram at LO_FLA Panthers and on Blue Sky at LOFLA Panthers. You can follow the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. If you're on the YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe and press that like button down below. Shout out to the everydayers who come back here and get your daily Florida Panthers fix. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. And you could do that all on FanDuel. So the Florida Panthers had 4 days off while the Utah Hockey Club was on the second end of a back-to-back after getting obliterated by the Tampa Bay Lightning 8-0 last night, and in a game that the Utah Hockey Club needed to win to keep their slim playoff hopes alive, and one that the Florida Panthers had to win in order to keep pace for the Atlantic Division. And it was the Florida Panthers coming up on top of this one in Brad Marchand's debut with the Florida Panthers, and the buzz was there from the beginning in pregame warmups, and it ended up in Brad Marchand getting the assist on Sam Bennett's overtime winner. Sam Bennett getting 2 goals, including a power play goal less than 30 seconds after the Utah Hockey Club committed a penalty, and the Panthers really, even at times, really were in control of the game in this one, and it's a big win for them. 10 combined penalties between the two teams. The Panthers going 1 for 6, and then a perfect 4 for 4 on the penalty kill. And the Panthers found a way, and spoiling Kevin Stenlund's return to South Florida after winning the Stanley Cup, and really for Brad Marchand jumping on power play 2, really fed off Marchand and Samoskevich and Sam Bennett. It really, although he finished with the 4 shots on goal, wasn't really the most noticeable. It was maybe trying to get a little bit of a feel of the game where just trying to win the puck battles there, and then just trying to get the supporting teammates so that they could get out of the zone and in speed, which for the Panthers, that was really the story for them to start the game, is just really how they were able to get their speed. And although the Utah Hockey Club did outshoot the Panthers 6-4, it wasn't really the high danger variety for the Utah Hockey Club for really much of this game, really. And Sergei Bobrovsky, not a lot of shots faced in this one, only 1 goal allowed in this one. And for going back to Brad Marchand, just immediately off that second shift in overtime, once again creating that jolt of energy for the Florida Panthers. And the only thing really that I do have to pick on him for this game tonight was really one of the power plays where you maybe stayed on the ice a little bit too long, and it created a rush opportunity for the Utah Hockey Club there. And for Utah in this position where Karel Vejmelka is starting 16th consecutive game and then being pulled after the 4th goal in Tampa Bay, this was a kind of game where he needed his team to help him out. And for Utah, especially in the second period, them losing a lot of their battles, and then like I said, with the Panthers just getting their speed going, a lot of times they were just consistently behind the play. A holding penalty with Sam Bennett gaining the zone, Dylan Guenther holding with a hook on Gustav Forsling as he was gaining the zone, and then as Niko Mikkola was trying to break out of his own zone, Clayton Keller with a high stick on Niko Mikkola, which even though the Panthers didn't score on those 3 power plays in the middle of the second period, for them, really that was the time for the Panthers to really control the ice, have the puck more in their end, and then really for the Panthers to just consistently break up passes in the neutral zone and just get that zone time for them. And really that was the difference for the Panthers and the Utah Hockey Club there for just how much time it was spent in the offensive zone for them, due to the fact that they were just sloppy with their sticks all night and with their speed for them. And really for the Panthers, although they went 4 for 4 on the penalty kill, for me, it was they were taking what the Utah Hockey Club was giving them when it came to special teams. And although, yeah, the Florida Panthers went to the box 4 times in the game, even for them, even though when they were on the PK, they ended one of the Utah Hockey Club's power plays in the beginning of the third period, which really helped them out and not giving them any breath of life in this one. But for when the Utah Hockey Club was zipping the puck around, it was really perimeter based, getting it back to the point. But the Panthers were still not a lot of movement, which is what you want whenever it comes on the penalty kill. Selective pressure when it came to pressuring the puck for them, and really the lack of Utah getting it to the blue paint and the blue area for them, and didn't really give themselves an opportunity to overwhelm Sergei Bobrovsky, or even if it was a puck deflected from the blue line to get a deflection off of a player, and then they were to go to battle on the boards. They didn't give themselves that opportunity neither to give the Panthers an opportunity to be out of position. So, hey, you're not complaining if you're a Panthers fan in this situation for how the Utah Hockey Club managed things for special teams when they did get their chances on the man advantage. And really, it just before Utah eventually tied it on the 4-on-4, I felt like that it felt like the first 40 minutes is just some of the most dominant 1-0 games that I've seen in the first 40 minutes for the Panthers. Usually, and this we've seen this at times from this team from during this season, and then something goes wrong, and then it happens to be that something goes wrong on the 4-on-4. A little miscommunication with Gustav Forsling driving. Tobias Bjornfot is on the blue line, and then he's facing a little bit of a 2-on-1. And then Anton Lundell's unfortunately does not get back in time for the back check on Sean Durzi, and then it's a whole new hockey game for the Florida Panthers. But still, even then, there wasn't really an extended period of time where the Utah Hockey Club was taking really a lot of control for them. Which if you're the Panthers, you are not. I don't want to say peaking at the right time, because I mean, the Panthers have won 3 of their last 4, but you think about these last few wins for them, it really had to give themselves an opportunity to really grind it out for them. 0-0 against Columbus, and then a shootout win against Pittsburgh, and then just a few minutes before overtime ends, they give themselves an opportunity to win. And the poor part of this is you don't add up on the regulation wins category here in this situation. In this last week for them. I mean, sure, it might hurt you as the season goes down, but the good news is for the Florida Panthers is the fact that they have 3 head-to-heads against the 2 teams that they are battling against. So I'm not even angry at all. I'm not too annoyed is the word I want to say here when it comes to the Panthers not winning these games in regulation, because with what's coming down the stretch, it's still a matter of controlling your own destiny in this situation. Money Puck had the Panthers at 47.1% coming into this game if they were to win in regulation to win the division, and 28.4% if they were to lose. And then Utah, if they were to win in regulation, their playoff hopes would have still been slim at 1.7% if they were to win in regulation. St. Louis has been on fire lately, winning 8 straight for them, but still for the Panthers here, still find a way to still roll those 4 lines. And the fact that Evan Rodriguez is on your 4th line when he has so much flexibility. Jesper Bokus is still on that 3rd line with Anton Lundell. So that's another thing. The fact that it feels that the Panthers still have so much at their disposal here when it comes to just how many options they have. And the Panthers, they find a way to continuously find a way to win, and it's very admirable once again. And then Brad Marchand after the game saying that that it's something special when after he's been in so many locker rooms, he spoke about it, how he knows that this is a special group that they have here in South Florida. But we're going to transition over to segment number 2. We're going to discuss the tribute video for Kevin Stenlund, best memories of him, and we're going to give our 3 stars of the game in the moment where we knew the game was won. We're going to discuss that next here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. And March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters, Cinderella stories, and even who's cutting down the net. And I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year, and FanDuel makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. With tournament games happening almost every day, there's almost something exciting to bet on. The FanDuel app is simple to use. When I win, I get paid instantly. No waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoop action all tournament long, and you could do that all on FanDuel. Segment number 2 here on this Friday, March 28th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day here on a Friday night. Yes, a Friday night post-game edition of the show due to the timing of availability of recording. This was the only time I was able to record, so apologies for not getting you guys a morning show. So you're going to get surprise. This is a Friday evening podcast. So Kevin Stenlund, just the story of him playing 125 games in his first 5 seasons, right before getting to the Florida Panthers last year, getting an extended role, and even before for him in his last year in Winnipeg, taking 500 draws in 2023 with Winnipeg, familiarity with Paul Maurice, and then getting over 800 in the regular season in 2024. Big on the PK, with the league's best road penalty kill at 87%, which is big for how the Panthers were going on that 12-game road winning streak that lasted all the way until that road game in Carolina, which they lost very closely in that one. And then clutch regular season moments like the regular season game in Edmonton. Fourth line got 3 chances, and then Kevin Stenlund snuck it in on the short side. And then the road game in San Jose, Balinska's shot from the blue line, and after getting it back on the forecheck, redirects Balinska's shot past San Jose. And even John Buccigross in the broadcast saying Tommy Stenlund instead of Kevin Stenlund on the broadcast on that one. And although he only had 1 point in the postseason, we knew what his role was, being the guy to do the draw on the faceoffs for the Panthers on the penalty kill. And even in overtime on tonight's game, he was used as the Fogo. That's mostly a lacrosse term. Fogo, face off, get off for the Utah Hockey Club. And then even though the Panthers won the opening draw in overtime, so knew that was what Utah Andre Tierney was going for, the head coach of the Utah Hockey Club, of what he was trying to do there for him. But honestly, the moment for me that stands out the most from Kevin Stenlund, Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final, a key penalty kill. Gustav Forsling breaks his stick, and Kevin Stenlund hands Forsling his stick. And Kevin Stenlund being a right-handed shot, Gustav Forsling being a left-handed shot. You need a stick in order to sweep the puck out of the crease. And then Kevin Stenlund, with the likes of Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, shooting the puck over and over again, getting key blocks, and then getting a clear there for the Panthers, an important moment in the game. And then just a few minutes later, the Panthers were able to take the lead, and for the Panthers, the GWG by Sam Reinhart for the Panthers' first ever Stanley Cup. So, and that was the Panthers' only penalty of the game in that one. If you remember how the penalty that was caused, Matthew Tkachuk loses an edge and is like a slippery slide into Warren Fogle. Didn't necessarily like the call, but really for Matthew Tkachuk and the Panthers there, they were able to get a big kill and then the Panthers ending up with the win, and then continuing his success in Utah. 7% higher is his faceoff percentage for him this year, and only 1 goal away from his career high for 12, which he had 11 last year with the Florida Panthers, and then currently has 11 for the Utah Hockey Club. So Kevin Stenlund, I knew that the Panthers were going to lose Montour. I knew they were going to lose Ekman Larsson, but that was the one player for the Panthers that I was just like, oh, that one kind of hurts. But hey, the Panthers really found a way to replace him in Nico Sturm, which Nico Sturm had a really good rush chance in the first period, which nice little dish by Nate Schmidt, and then he was able to get it backhand for that good quality opportunity for him. Actually, not Nate Schmidt. It was a give and go by Evan Rodriguez, and he was able to get the puck on net for the Panthers there. But 3 stars of the game for the Panthers here. Number 3, Sergei Bobrovsky, and he's been on a great run of 17 games, first in wins, GAA, save percentage, shutouts, and it's a shame that that he didn't get one once again with the miscommunication on the 4-on-4. But how big was that save towards the end of the second period on Barrett Hayton, where the Utah Hockey Club only had 3 shots on goal, and then a lot of time and Sergei Bobrovsky has spoken about this in the past, where he said he actually feels more comfortable facing a lot of shots versus going long periods of time, because you're not necessarily saying that his body gets stiff. As a goaltender, you always have to be moving in order to be ready, but you're moving your body a lot less during that time. Whenever there is a lot of shot suppression, which the Panthers are kind of getting back to that, where they see that the playoffs are approaching, and then fine tuning their game more and more, and it's resulting in the wins and just that push right before the games really get real for that, and just big humongous save there right before the end of the second period. At the time, it was 1-0 for them. But still, just going into the locker room with the lead versus it tied, big moment for Sergei Bobrovsky in that one. Second star of the game, Brad Marchand, buzzing all night long, 4 shots on goal, the game-winning assist to Sam Bennett. And here's the thing about voting 3 stars of the game. That you have to turn it into the PR department around like maybe 5 minutes before the end of the game. So with the fact that the Brad Marchand didn't necessarily get a star of the game, it was given. Third star was Kravomilka, second star was Sergei Bobrovsky, and then first star was Sam Bennett for the actual game. But Brad Marchand, if a lot of those writers in person were to probably do it again, they probably put Brad Marchand there. But once again, we see how great his hands are, his edge work, and even made a slick move around Nick Schmaltz on the power play and made him look silly right before dishing it to Evan Rodriguez with Mikhail Sergachev breaking it up. But you get 1 more inch on that, that's likely a goal on the power play for the Panthers there. But still, we saw how well his hockey IQ is, and just at one point just making circles around the Utah zone right before Kravomilka made a stop, and then just a little pushing and shoving, which we didn't see a lot in this one, but able to just at least get a little bit of distance between Sean Durzi right before he brought it to his forehand there. So had Sean Durzi a little bit confused there for a moment. And number 1 star, Sam Bennett. You have to put him as the number 1 star. 25th goal of the season on the overtime winner, 2 goals on the night, and 6 shots on goal for him. And just how him, Marchand and Samoskevich, and Brad Marchand have been able to just get the pucks deep and then battle and then just get those pucks on net. Just an outstanding, and it's an outstanding mentor for Marchand and Samoskevich, who just continues to just get earned more ice time for them. And here's a stat that I want to share it with you guys. At 5-on-5, the Panthers were outshot attempted 11-9, but they only gave up one shot on goal at 5-on-5. So just goes to show how great the Panthers, that line was when it came to winning their battles, but also keeping things clean with Sergei Bobrovsky on the night for him. And just the Panthers continuously just finding a way to get the clutch goals when needed for them. And again, it was another one of those impressive nights from a guy like Seth Jones, who rough few games a few weeks ago, but a 64% Corsi 4 percentage for him as well. So that he's getting used to the system now for the Florida Panthers here. So so this is why we got to be a little patient when we see a new player on the team for them. So the moment where we knew the game was won, it wasn't necessarily the GWG for Sam Bennett beating Krelvamelka on the far side past the blocker. But when I saw the Panthers win that draw, when they put the three forwards of Sasha Barkov, Sam Reinhart, and Mackie Samoskevich, when I saw them win that draw and actually were able to still control the puck in the Utah zone, and just thinking about the maturation of Mackie, the fact that he's earning the time, like I mentioned earlier, just a few minutes ago, that told me I feel like that the Panthers are going to find a way. And the fact that Utah made a push and the fact that it didn't faze them, when I saw those three on the ice, which Paul Maurice likes to do, he likes to start with the defenseman at times. You can never predict when he's going to go with the three forwards and when he's going to go with the D, which is mostly Gustav Forsling as the guy who's there during the overtime period. In the case that there is a rush chance from the opposition, but still, the moment that I saw those three guys control the puck and then eventually get Marchand, Forsling, and Bennett there, it manifested. So and the Panthers just still finding a clutch way to win, and to think that it's not coming from Mr. Clutch Carter Verhaeghe, which Sam Bennett. I'm not going to get into the offseason and what his future is going to be for the Florida Panthers or not. Postseason's approaching, so it's time to just really focus on the run. But he's getting closer to 50 points, something he's never really done in his career. So I want to give a congratulations to him and just him getting to activating another level to his game, and for him, just want to applaud him. And just looking up his stats real quick on Hockey Reference, a career high in power play goals for him. He is 1 point away actually from 50. Hockey Reference hasn't updated it yet, but 1 point away from getting to 50 points for him. So just coming into his prime at age 28 for him. So want to say that for Sam Bennett. So just embrace it while he's here. That's what I'm going to be doing from now on for Sam Bennett as we get closer, and we hope that he is a big part of a playoff run for the Panthers and hopes to repeat as Stanley Cup champions. But we're going to transition over to segment number 3, where we are going to discuss some of the updates from the NCAA tournament. The Panthers made a signing today in their AHL affiliate, and something that Paul Maurice has said about Brad Marchand before the game that might help the Panthers as far as creating more puck possession, and also preview Sunday's game against the Habs. We'll discuss that more next here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Daylight savings snuck up on us again, and if you're feeling the lost hour of sleep, 5 Hour Energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through. When you're staying up late watching the NCAA tournament, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with a busy day, 5 Hour Energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. And I've been staying up late with all the tournament action. 5 Hour Energy helps me keep up the next day. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, and peach mango. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack delivered right to your door. Need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized. Segment number 3 here on this Friday, March 28th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day here on a Friday. So the Panthers made a signing for their AHL affiliate, an AHL contract to Hobey Baker finalist Liam McKenzie, 24-year-old right-handed shot, American born in New York, a 2-year deal that will start next season and will be on an amateur tryout for the Checkers for the remainder of this season. 54 points in 40 games for the Crusaders. A late bloomer, but hopefully him being part of a winning organization for him maybe is a potential part of the Florida Panthers in their future. So big congratulations to Liam McKenzie on signing with the Charlotte Checkers. But a little bit of an NCAA tournament update. Cornell upsets Michigan State. 10 seconds left in the third period on the power play. Upsets Michigan State. BU defeats Ohio State 8-3. Western Michigan in double overtime defeats Minnesota State yesterday. And then UMass upsets Minnesota in overtime. So we saw Jimmy Snuggerud also sign his entry-level deal with the St. Louis Blues after that upset. So we're starting to see these college free agents sign here for them. Boston College defeats Bentley in the final minutes. I watched that game earlier. James Higgins with 2 points, probably maybe the number 1 overall pick in this upcoming draft. Denver defeats Providence 5-1. No points from Jack Devine, got 2 shots and was a +2 on the evening for Denver, as they will have a little bit of a rematch in the regional final on Sunday. And then UConn defeats Quinnipiac 4-1. Even though Tyler Muzelik didn't start for UConn, there is a goaltender who started for UConn who was in Panthers development camp this past summer. Callum Tung, if you remember him. He was between the pipes in that win for the UConn Huskies, their first ever appearance in the NCAA tournament. We're not seeing Michigan there, by the way. So that's another thing that's a little strange for this tournament. But I want to discuss something that Paul Maurice discussed about Brad Marchand this morning and just what he's looking for. And he spoke about how he wants him to really simplify his game and not ask him to just put it all out there, because it's only one game. You got to think more big pictures here. But after what we saw tonight, I'm just expecting Brad Marchand to just come with a vengeance when it comes to this new situation for him on the Florida Panthers. And like we spoke about a few weeks ago, he didn't ask to get traded. And I haven't really spoken about this part, but the video came out of the Bruins management of Don Sweeney just coming into the room with his with the rest of his staff and just saying, hey, traded Brad Marchand for his conditional second round that could become a first if he plays 50% of the playoff games, and just the silence in the room. So that's another thing for Brad Marchand. And just he asked the Bruins to meet him halfway on a contract, but at the same time, the direction that they feel that they needed to go didn't seem to fit with Brad Marchand and what they were willing to pay him. I mean, 36 years old, you got to start to get younger and start to get the high draft capital in order to build the farm, because their farm is pretty thin, as the Charlotte Checkers are still trying to compete with them for the top of the Atlantic Division. Well, the second spot, top spot is going to go to the Hershey Bears for them. But also some stats that I want to give you guys on this edition of the show is the Panthers are already Corsi Giants, second in the NHL with Corsi for percentage, just behind the Carolina Hurricanes, and Brad Marchand himself in the top 94th percentile in high danger shots on goal, where the Panthers as a team are in the top 5. 80%, 87%, percentile in offensive zone percentage at 45%. So that's going to really help the Panthers here when it comes to, and it really manifested with just how much they were able to control, not necessarily the Corsi 4, but at least the shots on goal and able to get the pucks into the net, and their commitment to shot blocking for them, which once again, the Panthers continue to do so, and it's resulting in keeping it easy on Sergei Bobrovsky here. But the Panthers do shift their attention to the Montreal Canadiens now on Sunday, which we have a magic number for the Panthers to get their spot into the playoffs, and it's 5. The magic number is now at 5 for the Florida Panthers to clinch their spot in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So they just gotta keep winning. 91 points. The team that you gotta pay attention to for the magic number is the Montreal Canadiens and the New York Islanders here, which now that gives us a good opportunity to transition to Sunday's game. They're coming off 5 straight losses. After a big emotional win against the Ottawa Senators, they haven't been the same since. And the Panthers, they didn't show up in either of those games against the Montreal Canadiens. And what would be the excuse this time if they dropped this one? Because first go round was, oh, they're coming off the Christmas break. Second go round was, oh, they got a big emotional win and they put it all out there against the Toronto Maple Leafs the night before. But this time around for the Panthers, it's got to be a full 60-minute effort, and you got to show that you were the desperate team here. Yeah, Lane Hudson is a stud. He's probably going to be a blue liner that's going to be talked about for multiple years as a second-round pick from BU for him. And just Nick Suzuki going into a different level. Some people were conversing on whether he's an actual first-line center, but he's proven to at least get to gain those steps into being a first-line center on a championship team, possibly. And the development of Slavkovsky, Cole Caulfield, and then just like we spoke about with Jacob Winans earlier, they have guys who have been through a Stanley Cup run and have stuck around through some tough times for the Habs too, and they're teaching the young studs how to win. So that's another thing for Montreal in trying to at least get to that next step. But Columbus came back from 3 goals down against Vancouver where they were down pretty big, and they found a way to come back. So that's which the final score was 7-6 in that one in a shootout. So a wild hockey game in Columbus. And the thing is, Montreal was leading tonight, and they gave up an own goal for them. I mentioned that Caden Gooley was practicing for the Habs earlier in the week, and he's back. So he will be in the lineup for the Montreal Canadiens on Sunday. Their best defensive defenseman, Sam Montembeault, maybe this is now the workload is starting to maybe be a little too much for him. So for the Panthers, it's really their time to show that desperation, because the 3 out of 4 wins, and none of them being in regulation, you know that you have to find a way to win outright once again for the Atlantic Division. So I would expect Sergei Bobrovsky to start in between the pipes, because knowing that this is a home and home, and then the second end of a back-to-back for the Panthers would be against Toronto, you want to give Sergei Bobrovsky the Toronto game. So if you're trying to strategize this properly, Bobrovsky Sunday, Vanacek on Tuesday, and then Bobrovsky again on Wednesday night, as the Florida Panthers will face off against the Toronto Maple Leafs on Wednesday. And this is a good opportunity for the Panthers to just stamp things down at home, because they've only lost twice since mid-January, against Detroit and against Seattle, the first game off the Four Nations face-off. And that's it. And it's a big road trip coming for them. So big, huge opportunity for them to get this win on Sunday against Montreal. You want to have less travel during the playoffs? Get this one. And afternoon games are unpredictable. So I'm interested to see how the Panthers are going to come out against another desperate team. We saw Utah a little bit desperate, although it would have been tough for anyone to come out on the ice after how they looked against Tampa Bay. But still, the Panthers, it didn't matter. It didn't matter to the Panthers, and they still found a way for them. Now they got to do it again. But that's going to do it for today's edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Make sure you come back on Monday as we will recap the final game of this homestand for the Panthers against the Montreal Canadiens and prepare you for the upcoming road trip for the Cats. But in the meantime, if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to the podcast to be notified every single time the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast jumps into your podcast feed. Don't forget to also subscribe to the other shows on the Locked On NHL network, including Locked On NHL, Locked On Fantasy Hockey, Flip Livingstone and Stu Roden, and Locked On NHL Prospects. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. So I'm Armando Velez, signing off. And you've been listening to Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We're your team every day.